So this is both the carrot and the stick with Scientologists. It's both what they're striving for, which is the immortality, and the stick is, well, we could take that away. They can't do that. They can't do either one of those things. But if you believe in the belief system, you think that they can. So the most important thing for Scientology to maintain control over their people is to keep that belief system intact. And if they can keep that belief system intact, then they can keep control. And so if you look at all of their rules and restrictions and so forth in that light, you kind of see where they're going with this. For instance, they have disconnection, and they say they don't, but they do. And there's many, many thousands of people that have been disconnected from family, children, parents, because they voiced some criticism of Scientology. And if your family or your wife, your husband, or your children voice any criticism of Scientology, bang, you're disconnected from them. You cannot talk to them. Well, they say handle or disconnect. Handle it means you get them so that they agree with Scientology, or at least shut up about it. My mother, for instance, never cared for Scientology, but she learned to keep her mouth shut because she knew it would get me in trouble if she spoke out. So she kept quiet. And so you either stay quiet or you go into agreement with what it is. So the irony is that the Church of Scientology says that it's all about freedom, but ultimately it's really about control. And the further up you go, the more controlled you are. And when you get up to the higher operating thetan levels, OT7, you are very, very tightly controlled by the church. You have to report in to the Clearwater headquarters every 6 months. You have to have security checks. You have to, and they examine every part of their life. And they make sure that they're not reading any critical internet sites. They're not reading any critical books. They don't have any critical thoughts and so forth. They're really clamped down on these people. And where I was at Scientology's International Base with Sea Org members, that's the ultimate in control. That is the most tightly controlled place in Scientology. And I spent 15 years there. And Mark told you some of what it's like. The place is surrounded by razor wire fences. They've got cameras and motion sensors. There's no way that you can get out of there. Without touching off these sensors or alerting the security guards who patrol the grounds and so forth. And if you want to leave that Hemet compound, you have to get permission from your boss and from your boss's boss and so forth to be able to leave the compound. You can't just walk in and out. You have to have an okay. All letters in are opened, which is against federal law, but they do it anyway. If you get a letter from your parents, they open it first before it goes to you. And if it contains anything critical of Scientology, well, you're hauled in and, you say, well, you have to handle your parents or disconnect and so forth. Then when you write a letter out, same thing. It gets censored. And there are musters, there are this, there are that. But in addition to that, there are physical punishments. People get thrown in the lake out there. They have to run around the buildings, and it's true. There's also physical abuse, and I was personally beat up on 5 separate occasions by the head of Scientology, David Miscavige, who is supposed to be the leader. He likes to call himself the Pope of Scientology. Well, he's a bully. He's a bully, and interesting. We were in the Steve Allen Theater. Steve Allen called Scientology a religion of bullies. And I think that's pretty accurate, and it's led by the biggest bully of all, which is David Miscavige. So why didn't I leave? Well, it was the carrot and the stick. I didn't want to lose my eternity. I still had, still had my faith, even though I was being physically and mentally abused. But I finally said, I don't care. I don't care if I'm damning my soul for eternity or whatever this means. I don't care. I have to leave this place because I will not be abused anymore. And I walked out, and I had to, I lost my wife, wonderful woman that I love very much. I lost all my friends, all my family who were still in Scientology at that point. I couldn't talk to them. And I had to go out with a few dollars in my pocket at age 58 and start a whole new life from scratch. They gave me no money, they gave me no help, and I knew no one outside of Scientology, and I had to just pick up in a strange city where I knew nobody and build a new life, which I did. But I have a lot of friends who are still there. They are still in Scientology. They are still at the Int base, and if I were able to get the one message, I would tell them this, that leaving Scientology doesn't mean losing your eternity. It means gaining your freedom. Thank you.